Guys, what a way to kick off the road to SummerSlam. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm not gonna lie, after watching King and Queen of the Ring, I'm gonna be honest, there were some things that we were expecting, but there was a lot that we were expecting. And not gonna lie, it was interesting to say the very least. But for today's video, we have the results of King and Queen of the Ring 2024. Not gonna lie, this was about as unpredictable as we could have imagined. But not only am I going to be giving out the results, I will also be giving out my review of King and Queen of the Ring. Obviously, you guys know how these things work. Not gonna say any more. So let's get down to it with the countdown show as Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defended the women's tag team titles against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, which this rivalry actually kind of started about a month ago when the Queen of the Ring tournament first started, and it was Candice LeRae versus Bianca Belair, and Indy Hartwell targeted the knee of Bianca Belair, and obviously, yeah, Bianca may have won that first round match, but from that point, leading into the semifinals from last night on SmackDown, Bianca's knee just completely shut down, and obviously Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair were like, we can't be having this shit. So they requested to defend their tag titles tonight against LeRae and Hartwell, and they got it. But Bianca Belair was able to get a little bit of retribution on Candice LeRae as she targeted Candice's knee herself, and it was pretty close for both Candice and Indy, but in the end, obviously Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair always come up with something new. This time they came up with a DDT transitioning into what's known as the Ocean Cyclone, which is a much more unique version of a German suplex to retain the women's tag team titles, and not to take anything away from Candice and Indy, but Jade and Bianca, I said it before when they won the titles back in Lyon at Backlash, but I asked the question if there was anybody who could take the titles off of Bianca and Jade. Honestly, I don't think there is. I've said it before, I will say it again. It's going to take a super mega team to defeat Bianca and Cargill. They're like the super women. They're like the super women of WWE, and and it's gonna take a lot of kryptonite, if you will. No pun intended. To take the titles off of Jade and Bianca. But honestly, this was pretty solid. It was a way to put an end to something that had started literally like a month ago, and now it's up to Jade and Bianca to move forward with their title run and potentially go after some more gold and perhaps maybe Money in the Bank. Who knows? But I'm giving this one 3 stars. Usually when it comes to the countdown / kickoff shows, usually the matches are like 3 stars, maybe 4 stars. But this is definitely one of those 3-star matches in my opinion. Could it have ended differently? I doubt it. Obviously, yes, Indy and Candice had teamed for quite some time. Obviously dating back to their days in NXT, but ever since they came to the main roster, it's almost as if they've lost they've been out of sync as of late, and I think honestly, I think it's time to see both Candice and Indy just go their separate ways. Like, or maybe Johnny Gargano can bring back the faction the way, and it could be DIY plus Candice and Indy, and if oh, I don't know, if Austin Theory decided to take his head out of his own ass, maybe Theory could rejoin. Maybe we might see the return of Dexter Lumis. Who knows? Only time only time will tell. But we now move into the main card as the man Becky Lynch defended the women's world title against Liv Morgan, and this had a lot of controversy surrounding none other than one person, and that is Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I'm not surprised that he would get involved in the match, because obviously he just like a lot of the members of the WWE universe, he wants Rhea Ripley to be champion once again. Do I blame him? No, I don't blame him one single bit. I know that a lot of you guys, myself included, might not like the guy because he's a total jackass. But even you guys can agree with me when I say that Rhea Ripley having to drop her title the way she did should not have happened. If anything, I feel like that she should have dropped the title via a pinfall or submission, just like any other championship run in WWE. And and I feel like as we get closer and closer, not just to Clash of the Castle in Glasgow, but also to Money in the Bank in Toronto, and SummerSlam in Cleveland. One could argue that between now and SummerSlam, we might see Rhea Ripley come back, which could then lead to a triple threat match between Rhea, Becky, and Liv. And of course, Dom, being the jackass that he was, that he is, he thought it was a good idea to give Becky Lynch a steel chair, and that completely backfired on him, as Liv Morgan used the chair on Becky Lynch to hit her with a DDT, and then hit her with Oblivion to win the women's world title. Now obviously, the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour is now complete. Obviously, she wanted to remove Rhea Ripley from the entire equation, which she did. Now she's the women's world champion, and it's 10 years of hard work paying off. And honestly, this was about as solid as it can get. In spite of the controversy, I think we could end up seeing a triple threat at some point down the road, but we could also potentially see a fatal four-way if Io Sky gets involved in that whole in the whole situation. And if that were to be the case, then we will end up seeing a fatal four-way sometime between now and SummerSlam. But all in all, this was pretty awesome. But could it have ended differently? Absolutely. I feel like if Dom hadn't have gotten involved, I feel like Becky Lynch probably could have retained the title, but I'm not entirely sure. But this was an easy 4 stars. Absolutely incredible. Next up, speaking of triple threats, we have a triple threat for the Intercontinental title between the champion Sami Zayn in his homeland in Saudi Arabia, and of course, the challengers Bronson Reed and Chad Gable with Otis at ringside. Let's just be real here. I'm not even gonna justify the fact that what Chad Gable has done is right, because it's not. It's been oh my god, I don't even know what to say about Chad Gable, but I talked about it in my prediction video on Thursday. I said that I said that Bronson Reed was going to be the dark horse in the triple threat, and indeed he was, because he came this close a few times of becoming champion. But obviously Otis did get involved, taking out Al Bronson Reed, and the closing moments, it was just not what Gable was expecting, as Otis accidentally hit Chad Gable with a clothesline, and that allowed Sami Zayn to hit Bronson Reed with the haluva kick to retain the Intercontinental title. Obviously, Chad Gable is hell bent on becoming champion, and we might end up seeing the one-on-one match at Clash at the Castle, which is possible, which is very, very possible, but only time will tell. But all in all, this was pretty insane, pretty solid though. I gotta give this one 4 stars. So the reason why I'm giving this one 4 stars is because when you look at the Intercontinental title and you look at its history, dating all the way back to 1979, when Pat Patterson first became champion. Think about this: more than 24 Hall of Famers, at least, that have all become Intercontinental champion. Guys like Ultimate Warrior, guys like Randy Savage, guys like Greg the Hammer Valentine, Tito Santana, guys like the Honky Tonk Man, Ultimate Warrior I mentioned, Savage I mentioned, Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, guys like Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Scott Hall, Triple H, Stone Cold, Rob Van Dam, Eddie Guerrero. All these guys that are Hall of Famers, they became Intercontinental champion, and that's what got them into becoming Hall of Famers as we see now. So I have no doubt in my mind that Sami Zayn, being a 4-time champion in his own right, he is definitely going to be up there as a potential Hall of Famer. And this was basically one of the matches that he needed to win in order to in order for him to get one step closer to becoming a future Hall of Famer. But I can honestly say, now that Bronson Reed has been pinned, Gable was not pinned in that triple threat, which means that we might end up seeing the match at Clash at the Castle, which is very possible. But we gotta move into the Queen of the Ring tournament finals between Nia Jax and Lyra Valkyria. This was basically David versus Goliath. This was absolutely incredible. I'm not even gonna say anything more about the match, except the fact that Lyra Valkyria was incredible. She was red hot throughout most of the match. Nia Jax might have had a little bit of offense as well, but for the most part, it was literally back and forth. It was all Lyra Valkyria, back and forth, absolute craziness. But the closing moments was what did Lyra Valkyria in, trying to hit a sunset flip powerbomb, countered into what is known as the Annihilator, and Nia Jax is now the Queen of the Ring, and we now know that she will be challenging Bayley for the WWE Women's title at SummerSlam. However, we are still a few months away from SummerSlam. In fact, we are 1, 2, 3, 4. We are literally 4 PLEs away from SummerSlam, which means not only do we have NXT Battleground, we've got Clash at the Castle, and we've got Money in the Bank, as well as NXT Heatwave. So all 4 PLEs are going to be bangers. So get ready, guys. but obviously SummerSlam is still a long time away, and we don't really know if Bayley is gonna be champion by the time we get to SummerSlam, because We still have Clash in Glasgow. We still have Money in the Bank in Toronto, and we still have quite a few episodes of SmackDown in between in between both Battleground and or rather between now and SummerSlam. So one could argue that Bayley might not walk into SummerSlam as champion, but I will say this is an easy 4 stars, absolutely solid. Nia Jax winning the crown, in my opinion, I feel like was the smart thing, because it would have meant that the last few years that Nia Jax had went through since her injury, since she got released from WWE, I think back in 2021, if I remember correctly, was all worth it. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to see Lyra Valkyria become Queen of the Ring, Queen Lyra. I would have loved to see that, but obviously, she still has a bright future ahead of her. So I don't think it could have gone a different way. I feel like this was the smart move. So 4 stars, easy. But speaking of 4 stars, we have 5 stars with these next 2, or do we? Gunther, Randy Orton, the King of the Ring finals. This one is an easy 5 stars. Every time you see Gunther in a match, it's always going to be a 5-star, as Sheamus would always say, banger after banger after banger after banger. This one was indeed a banger. I don't even know how to describe it, but obviously Randy Orton was had been injured over the course of the last month. Ever since the tournament started. Actually, even beyond that, I think ever since Backlash, Randy Orton had been dealing with some knee problems, and his back got re-aggravated at the hands of Gunther, at the hands of the Bloodline, and that's what did him in. As we move into the closing moments, as Randy Orton hit Gunther with an RKO. But this is where the controversy comes into play, because Gunther rolled up Randy Orton, but his left shoulder was up. And if you guys saw that really closely, one could argue that Randy Orton probably still would have had a chance, but I highly doubt it. But obviously the referee's decision remains the same as always. It is final. Gunther is now King of the Ring and will challenge Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight title at SummerSlam. But the question is, will he be champion by then? Because we found out that it'll be McIntyre challenging Priest at Clash at the Castle in Glasgow, which is going to be one hell of a fight. So get ready, but whenever Drew McIntyre is in a match, what do you see in the distance? CM Punk. And I can guarantee you Punk will probably get involved, and it's gonna be hilarious, and McIntyre is gonna be pissed off as fuck. But we now move into the main event for the undisputed WWE title. I don't know why, for some reason Michael Cole just randomly called it the undisputed Universal title for some reason. So I don't know if they're bringing that back or what the fuck's going on, but it will remain WWE title in my eyes. As Cody Rhodes defended against Logan Paul, the United States champion, and we all thought he was not going to use the brass knucks. He gave a pair of brass knucks to Michael Cole. The referee, Ryan Tran, who actually officiated the match, found a pair of brass knucks in his pants, and it did not work out. But third time was the charm, as we saw that idiot jackass from Logan Paul's crew, Jeff, I think was his name, gave Logan Paul brass knucks, and Yeah, brass knucks to the ribs of the American Nightmare. And it was, and even aside from all of that, and even aside from Corey Graves saving Michael Cole from impending doom that is getting knocked out by Logan Paul, which props to Corey Graves for that one. In spite of all that chaos, Logan Paul, for the most part, did it on his own. Minus that chaos and minus the low blow, he did it on his own. But it was not enough for Logan Paul, as it took 3 crossroads for Cody Rhodes to retain the WWE title, and now he can move into Clash at the Castle. And I don't know if the world title is gonna be the main event, or if the WWE title will be the main event. It's hard to say, but as we draw closer and closer to SummerSlam, to Clash at the Castle, one could argue that maybe Cody Rhodes might be stepping away from Clash and putting focus on Money in the Bank, which is possible. But as we know, when it comes to Money in the Bank, it's always unpredictable. But could the match have ended differently? I don't know. I don't know. At this point, it's hard to say, because when you look at someone like Logan Paul, the last time WWE did a show in Saudi Arabia, it was last November at Crown Jewel, where we saw Logan Paul defeat Rey Mysterio to become the US champion. And it's interesting because we thought that Logan Paul was going to lose that night in Riyadh, but it was not meant to be, and he pinned a Hall of Famer of all people, which is crazy. But again, I don't know. I feel like it could have gone a different way. But again, I said it before, I'll say it again, we're still pretty young into Cody's reign as champion, so there's really no way that Cody was going to lose that early. But with that being said, guys, that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more premium live event predictions and results in the future, then make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.